Fight Island finally official this week. You don't have to deflect anymore. You don't have to, hide it anymore. I guess, what are your thoughts now it's official? As you said, I think some people had built it up to be this magical place on a tropical island, and the reality was, less than the fantasy. So what do you think now that it's all out there?
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, it's an incredible thing that we pulled off. They have this thing called the safety zone. It's 10 square miles where only we exist on the island. At the hotel, restaurants, every fighter has their own private training facility. It's going to be a very unique experience. Very cool.
Massive card with the pay-per-view. I think the only surprise was that Gilbert Burns was in there instead of Jorge Masvidal. We understand where Masvidal has been at. But I guess, can you just talk about having to make that decision?
It's not a surprise. I mean, this is what we do. I mean, we've been doing this for 20 years. People who want to fight get fights, and people who don't. And he's the #1 ranked guy in the world. #1 versus the champion. Right. And this kid wants to stay busy, These kids that come out and go on runs like Burns is on and want to keep fighting and stay active, they're healthy, and they want to. It's the smartest thing you could do, And it doesn't surprise me that Masvidal, Masvidal is very much like the Diaz brothers. He beats to the sound of his own drum. When he wants to do something, he does it, and it's not very surprising at all.
So any alternate plans for Masvidal right now, or is it just kind of a wait and see and let him come to you?
Yeah. Listen, I'm putting on fights every weekend for the next 10 years, all right? And if you want to fight, call us. We'll offer you fights, and if you don't want to take them, you don't have to. It's always been that way. Everybody's acting like this is like some new fucking drama that just popped up, and this has never happened before in the history of the sport. This happens all the time, nonstop.
How close are we to getting the other main events in Abu Dhabi on Fight Island, the 15th, the 18th, the 25th? Are those done? Are those ready to be announced?
What's the question?
The other 3 cards in Abu Dhabi. How close are we to having?
We're close. Events? Yeah, we're close. We'll have them announced soon.
Very nice. Conor McGregor last week surprised us with his retirement. Have you had a chance to follow up with him, speak with him at all?
No, we haven't talked. He's doing his thing.
Nice. 2 last questions for me. Fighter pay has been a big discussion. You got grilled on ESPN, all those things. I'm curious. I mean, you've laid out the scenarios with these individual fighters, but is there room for a bigger discussion? Can there be greater revenue, that sort of thing?
Again, like the thing that I went through with Kevin the other day. I went through this with Kevin the other day. This isn't new either. There's a lot of new people covering us. There's a lot of new people that don't know a lot about the sport. That's new. This isn't new. This is the same old.
Last question for me.
And all these fighters that are, they share in the revenue. They do share in the revenue. They have they have the upside in the pay-per-view, And guys that sell pay-per-view make a lot of money.
I don't know. Is Fight Island part of the deal you already have with Abu Dhabi, or is it a completely separate thing?
No, it's separate. Yeah. No, this is completely different than we did a 5-year deal with those guys to bring fights out there. Then all of a sudden, the world goes to and I'm like, yeah, can I borrow your island? Yeah, no, it's a completely different deal.
Were they always the front runners, or were you talking to other people, other islands, that sort of stuff?
You'd be blown away by the people that we talk to. Yeah.
So if this is outside of the standard deal with them, does that mean we could end up going back to Abu Dhabi later this year?
Yeah, no, we will. I owe them. This has nothing to do with the 5-year deal that I have with Abu Dhabi to put fights on over there. This is completely separate.
Would the front runner for that be Khabib versus Justin?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Dan.
Dana, over here. I think a lot of non-MMA fans, also got into the idea of Fight Island. For those people who don't normally understand the logistics of holding an event, can you explain why they're not getting the live fights on a beach and the tiki torches and all that stuff that they ran away with? Yeah,
you first of all, the lighting grid. I mean, you couldn't put the lighting grid on a beach. You could try it. I don't think it's going to turn out very well. I'm always afraid of the elements, wind, rain, all the things that can happen. I like the comfort and safety of an arena and pulling off a perfect show. I mean, that's what I'm into every single time we go out and do it. So, yeah, I mean, pulling off what the fantasy of Fight Island was is pretty tough. And I think it would look like on TV too.
Gotcha. You obviously announced quite a lot, but there are still a few fights out there that we're interested in. Do we have any update on when we might see Adesanya and Costa and Valentina versus Jojo Calderwood?
So yesterday we had our matchmaking meeting was delayed this week. We had it yesterday, and I was just saying to Laura Sanko, the fights that we have scheduled this summer are so awesome, man. This is a wacky, crazy year, but the fights that are coming up this summer are awesome. It's going to be awesome.
Just to clarify, I think you said something about how Conor could have had that replacement fight against Tony.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for asking me that question. The that I have read this week, I started scrolling through. Dana White rips Conor McGregor. Dana White, what? When did I rip Conor McGregor? The media is so full of and the headlines are such bullshit. It's unbelievable. You literally can't believe anything you read. Now, is there anybody in this room that didn't know when I announced, I said, if this could be a Tony fight, if somebody falls out, Conor's going to be the replacement? Who doesn't remember that? Right? That was the deal. The deal was I talked to Conor. Then Conor came back and said, I'm not a replacement fighter. I'm not going to do it. Long before the fight ever fell out. But Conor was saying before that fight fell out that it would fall out. He said one of these two are going to fall out, and then I'll slide in and take the fight. Then when the fight fell out, you know, the coronavirus was going on, and everything started to shut down. And we were looking at, the casino in California. Never did Conor turn down a last-minute fight. He told us way before that he was out of the fight, and we never even asked him again. So I do one interview where I'm explaining on the radio how this happened, and all these idiots start writing stories that I ripped him and that I said he wouldn't take the fight and everything else. It's all absolute bullshit. And the only thing that was stupider than the stories they wrote was the headlines that they put on it. It's unbelievable. You literally cannot believe anything you read. And if you went in and searched, the whole top thing was bullshit stories about Conor, me ripping Conor and me saying that Conor turned down a fight.
Well, I think that was the confusion. He didn't turn down the fight in Jacksonville, right? You never asked him?
Exactly. So when Conor, I was telling you guys, Conor McGregor will be the replacement. And you guys were like, well, holy shit. The gate will already be sold, you know, and the gate's 5.5, 6 million. Conor would have done maybe fucking, you know. I said, yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? That it is what it is, but Conor's going to do it. And apparently, you know, Conor thought about it and said, that I'm not a replacement fighter. I'm not going to be looked at as I'm sliding in as a replacement for one of these guys. So he said, I'm not going to do it. I told you guys Conor was out. I said, Conor's not going to, you know, won't be the replacement now. And, yeah, so we never even asked Conor to fight. So I say this, I think it was on Jim Rome that I said it. I say this thing, and like CBS Sports. This isn't like, you know, Bloody Elbow or something. You know what I mean? CBS Sports fucking wrote it. Crazy, man. Just unbelievable.
Well, would he even have been able to get into the country, even if he did want to fight in Jacksonville, because of the pandemic?
Could he get in the country?
Because of the pandemic? Like, if he had accepted a fight in Jacksonville, could he even have gotten in?
I don't know.
I think that was the other confusion.
Yeah, no, but that's true.
Even get in.
You know, for a while there, we had that fight coming up in the UK. And when the president had shut things down, he kept it open for the UK, and then eventually that got shut off too. So I don't believe he could have. I'm not saying that we couldn't have got it done if we had to. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but probably not. That's why we're doing Fight Island.
Dana, can you walk us through how you came about with getting Yas Island, Fight Island, under jurisdiction of Abu Dhabi? How difficult is that to do?
I'm sorry. What's the question?
Could you go through how you got the Fight Island fight with Abu Dhabi, Yas Island? I mean, how difficult is that to do with dealing with Abu Dhabi on making that happen?
Yeah, listen, the guys in Abu Dhabi have always been great partners to us. They're huge UFC fans. They love the sport. Obviously, you guys know they're huge jiu-jitsu fans. But in everybody that we dealt with trying to figure out a Fight Island, there were a lot of concerns with the virus, and especially we were looking for a place where we could bring people in from all over the world, and some parts of the world were worse than others in dealing with the virus. So it was tricky, but these guys are really smart guys. They're very progressive guys, and they're actually fun to deal with. So it worked out perfect.
So was it too, under the conditions of the pandemic, there weren't any hurdles, obviously?
Oh, there were huge hurdles. There were massive hurdles. It took a long time to get this thing done, and to get it dialed in. You can't just call a place and say, hey, we want to come over there and do fights. We had to have a plan on how we could protect the people that we're bringing in and make sure it was safe, yet protect the citizens of Abu Dhabi too. So, we had to do a lot of planning.
Are there any countries that are restricted from fighters coming from certain areas?
I'm sure there are, yeah. I'm sure there are.
But none that are affecting the cards, obviously.
No, not right now. Not with the Abu Dhabi situation.
Okay.
We've got that figured out. And the great thing about this is, too, if you think about it, we have 600 and something fighters under contract. By the time, we end this year, most of them will have been tested, and, they'll know where they stand with the coronavirus, whether they have the antibody or they never had it at all, or, it's a really cool way for not only our fighters to get paid and fight and work, but health-wise for them to figure out where they're at as far as the coronavirus goes.
Dana, one final one right here. What do you do with Marlon Moraes? He was supposed to fight Peter Yan, and he does have a win over Jose Aldo. Now he's left without a fight.
What about it?
What do you do with him next, Marlon?
Well, obviously, this last card, a lot of stuff played out in that weight division, and, we'll figure something out with him next. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, though. He'll get a fight. We got plenty of fights coming up. He wants to fight Cruz? Yeah, I like that. Deal.